The Claw towers over the White House. At night, it looks more Las Vegas than Washington. One way or another, the looming UFC fight has the American Capitol in its grip. What do you think?
I think it's got to be legal. There's no way it could be legal.
Very surprised, shocked. This is like the first time ever, ain't it? Oh, well, yeah, I'm definitely shocked.
Sunday's fight will be the centerpiece of President Donald Trump's 80th birthday celebration, with 4,000 spectators on the South Lawn and tens of thousands more on the National Mall.
I have never seen anybody want anything so much as people want those tickets.
But the match has already come to blows in court.
There are a million good reasons why Donald Trump's big birthday bash on the White House South Lawn should be canceled. But the two that might actually cancel it are hilariously in contradiction. The first reason why it really might be canceled is something that everyone in that idiotic White House should have seen coming. The second reason why it needs to be canceled is one that they literally could not have seen coming. And we are going to get into both as Donald Trump's birthday is falling apart.
As America celebrates its 250th anniversary coming up next week, Donald Trump's Great American State Fair on the National Mall here in D.C. looks to be, well, getting off to quite a rocky start. The Washington Post described it as a bumpy beginning, which included power outages that led to ride delays and melted ice cream. A writer for the Washingtonian had more critical words, calling the fair bleaker than expected and sparsely attended and shockingly boring.
But before we do, I think we have to start with maybe the most embarrassing moment of Marco Rubio's career, which actually, that was my Marco Rubio impression, by the way. But this was the dumbest thing he has ever said in defense of the UFC. And I guess this is the million and first reason why it should be canceled, because this was idiotic.
Make a couple points. People may ask, well, why UFC? We had this deal with the NFL too, but why UFC? So I have a couple reasons why that I think is very powerful. Here's the first. The first is America, and the ideal behind America is the impossible. That someone tells you can't do that, or that's never going to happen. The whole idea of America is audacious. The very idea that America, that you could have a country where founded on the principle that your rights come not from your government or from your leaders, your rights come from your creator, was an audacious idea. No one else believed that at the world at that time. And that's the foundation. But then beyond that, everything we've done since then as a nation, time and again, how can you achieve some of the things, we're going to put a man on the moon?
Congressman Ro Khanna responded to this ridiculous comparison, saying Kennedy called for us to go to the moon. Reagan said we had a rendezvous with destiny to stand up to authoritarianism. Rubio celebrates UFC as our national calling. How far have we fallen? The comparison between going to the moon and putting on a UFC fight, something that, if I am correct here, has happened literally hundreds of times.
Joe Rogan isn't crazy about President Trump at the moment, but he still welcomed him to UFC 327 in Miami this weekend with open arms. Online commentators had mixed reactions to the president's interaction with Joe Rogan at the UFC, with this person saying, Joe Rogan can say what he wants about Trump's Iran war and deportations being bad on his podcast, but at the end of the day, he's still a Trump bootlicker.
It is how they title their fight nights by the number of times that they have had them is just ridiculous. And Roe is right. This is a how far have we fallen moment. And sure, there are worse things going on than Donald Trump throwing himself a birthday party. But it is the broader degradation of America that is just so sad to see, especially when even someone like Joe Rogan is calling it out. But the reason he did is not why it is one of the reasons why it will be canceled. It is not the reason it should necessarily be the way he framed it. Just take a listen.
Joe Rogan says the UFC White House event sounds like a dream event, but he isn't buying it. On Wednesday's episode of The Joe Rogan Experience, he poured cold water over the idea and called the whole thing odd. Rogan also pointed to Washington, D.C. in June, where his team found the same date last year reached 100 degrees. He also said the production lights and bugs could affect fighters in a non-controlled environment.
It is going to affect the grappling, he says, being outside. It is going to be like hot oil wrestling. Everyone is going to be sweaty. Joe Rogan says he would never have approved MMA fights on Donald Trump's White House lawn birthday party because they are outside.
And this person doubled down, saying Joe Rogan badmouths Trump non-stop, but as soon as he sees him, he's as friendly as ever. The grift is insane. The show of warmth came after Joe Rogan critiqued Donald Trump on his top-rated podcast and questioned the Iran war.
It just seems so insane based on what he ran on. I mean, this is why a lot of people feel betrayed, right? He ran on no more wars and these stupid, senseless wars, and then we have one that we can't even really clearly define why we did it.
On his hugely popular podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan brought up the spectacle, saying he felt uncomfortable with the government being in the business of entertainment. It is the bread and circus thing. It is not for the White House to be putting on a sporting event. We hire the government to run our country, not entertain us. Rogan also said he had a problem with the structure called the Claw. I do not like it because I think they should be fighting indoors always. I think world championship fights should be fought in a controlled environment. I would have never wanted to do it. I would have said we cannot do it. They have to be in controlled environments. We cannot have somebody win or lose because they are outside and it is muggy. This does not make any sense to me, he continued. It is going to affect the grappling. It is going to be like hot oil wrestling. Everyone is going to be sweaty. Joe Rogan does not think we should have the UFC fight outside because that is not a controlled environment. And you need a controlled environment to get something right. You need to control all the external factors. Joe, by the way, what that sounds like is science. That is like a scientific experiment. And if you say that is the only way to get real results, you should probably trust vaccines. Like there is so much idiocy jam-packed into what Rogan is saying. We should not have the White House fight because it might give us the wrong winner of some UFC match. That is the big deal. Not the blatant corruption or how stupid it makes us or that it is for Trump's birthday, okay? That is idiotic. All of it is idiotic, which is why either a storm or some pilots getting it shut down makes me so happy. This right now is the weather in Washington, D.C., and it is how it is predicted to be all weekend long. Literally rain coming down sideways and flooding Donald Trump's big special arena. But that is not the only thing in the way of Donald Trump's big birthday party. Midas Touch shares an exclusive. A commercial airline pilot tells Midas Touch they filed FAA and NTSB safety reports after lighting from Donald Trump's UFC event at the White House allegedly flooded their cockpit on approach to D.C. National Airport. We do not call it Reagan, by the way. The pilot called it 10 times worse than any laser illumination event they had ever experienced. So, of course, as some of you might know, I am in Washington, D.C., and I have seen over the past couple of days them do this light show. It is everywhere, and it is a safety hazard. And I would also like to chime in by saying Donald Trump has not had the best record of FAA safety during his presidency. So I think it might be a massive mistake for him to say, do you know what would make this worse? How about we shoot giant lights everywhere? How about we do lasers into the sky? How about we blind our pilots? So I said at the beginning of this video 2 reasons why it might be shut down, and it is getting closer. The first is the weather. If it is raining sideways, there is literally nothing that they can do. Either everyone is going to be kicked out because they are not going to have seats that are not wet. By the way, the stage is already wet, so Rogan is not going to be happy about that. They absolutely should have foreseen that, but they did not because they are idiots. The second thing that I said they could not have seen, I was right. Pilots cannot see. They cannot see on their approach if you are shooting laser beams into the sky for Donald Trump's big event. And let us be honest, there is one reason why he is doing this. It is not because Donald Trump is such a big fan of the UFC and he loves sports. It is not because this is a gift to us. It is not because Marco Rubio thinks that this is our going to the moon moment. This is Donald Trump's version of, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what UFC can do for Donald Trump. No, the reason that this is happening is because Donald Trump feels pathetic, weak, and small. All of those things he is. He is pathetic, he is weak, he is small. So Donald Trump needs some large structure on the White House South Lawn to be like, I have got the big claw because I am the big strong man and my hands are not tiny. I have got the big claw. That is what it is about. It is about his weakness fundamentally. That is what it always comes back to. Donald Trump is in decline. He does not like thinking about it. He does not like other people seeing it. So that is ultimately what is going down here. Donald Trump needs the slim and fit guests who he has only invited if they met a certain height to waist ratio. He needs them to applaud. He needs everyone to cheer. He needs to make a couple of bucks off of it, obviously. But that is what this is about, and that is what America has turned into. You know, Donald Trump ran in 2016 saying that he was going to make the country great again, right? That was Donald Trump's big thing, stole it from Reagan. And then Donald Trump, after he lost in 2020, said that the country was not great, that it still needed to be made great again. While he was still in office, he was leaving and said, we need to make America great again, which is a massive self-own at the end of your own presidency to say we need to fix all of this, right? But Donald Trump then spent the next 4 years putting down the country, calling it terrible, calling it a hellhole. All of those things that if a liberal ever said, if a Democrat ever said, Fox would explode. You know, Fox would get upset. Jesse Waters, Sean Hannity, furious, right? But Donald Trump thinks America is great when America is serving Donald Trump. And America has always served Donald Trump. Let us be very clear about that. What is the Epstein case? Aside from our country's legal system being used and abused to serve a very small group of people who get to do whatever they want, Donald Trump has abused our legal system to allow himself to run for president. Donald Trump and his family should not have had their fortune built off of racism, discrimination, and business fraud. America has always benefited Donald Trump. He has been a scam artist who has ripped this country off and exploited it. And he talked about that in 2016 when he was running. He said, I know all the loopholes. And he did. He was being open and honest, right? It is like the sheep going, oh, this wolf, you know, he is saying that he is going to eat us, but I really like that he is honest about it. I really like that he just says what is on his mind. What is on his mind is eating us. But you know what? I trust him. I trust him that he is going to eat us because he has got my friend Jeff. He has got a little bit of his friend's blood on his face because he ate him. And still, I am going to vote for the wolf that eats me because he is telling me. All of that to say Donald Trump thinks America is great when America is serving him. And what is this birthday party but America serving him? What are all his projects? The ballroom, America serving him, an arch, America serving him. It is not a beautification project that is being undertaken in DC. It is a Trumpification project. And that is not usually what happens before a guy leaves, right? You do not cover the Oval Office in gold. You do not paint all the horses gold. You do not get your pool guys to come and make the reflecting pool the way you like it. You do not build the ballroom and say we are going to leave up the UFC cage. You do not do that if you are planning on leaving now, do you? So that is what this is. Let us keep in mind that Donald Trump is not trying to make DC very beautiful, very lovely ahead of our country's 250th birthday. No, he is trying to make it look more like Donald Trump, because that is what the undertaking of his political career is about. How do I serve myself more? How do I mold the country to look more like me? I do not know if Donald Trump is attacking our healthcare system because he wants everyone to be as sick as he looks, but that is what he has done, and that is what he wants. That is what this is about fundamentally. It is about the imposition of Trump into every part of our lives. And I always say that is the Trump derangement syndrome. To think we want him there, we do not. And when he tries boo all around Madison Square Garden. So maybe learn from that, please. And maybe, just maybe, cancel your birthday party because nobody wants it. So we pray for rain. We pray for thunder and lightning. We pray that our dear pilots are successful in their efforts. Dear God, do we pray. Ruin the birthday. And I rhymed there at the end. And so I do not really think I could do any better in this video. I rhymed, and that is great. And if you want to support that, as always, this one went all over the place. You can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Do not let him silence you. Until next time, I will see you soon.